Next on Worcester News Tonight, the PawSox proposal taking a step forward after a public hearing in the city tonight. Why some residents are still concerned. Plus, the Worcester Police Department and Boys and Girls Club of Worcester coming together to help keep kids active and off the streets. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. It's been 3 weeks now since the official announcement the PawSox would be making Worcester their new home. Wednesday, the city's Economic Development Committee unanimously approved the project and sent it to full council. And while many see the move as beneficial, others who live and work in the city have serious concerns. Our Cam Jandro joins us now live with more. Cam?
Anna, for 3 hours, city and PawSox officials took questions on things like ballpark accessibility, risk, and the declining attendance problems in Major and Minor League Baseball. But after all of that, the Economic Development Committee decided to push this one step forward to actually happening.
Standing room only in City Hall's Levi Lincoln Chamber as residents, business owners, and labor unions share their thoughts on the PawSox deal.
Would you borrow $100 million to buy a baseball stadium for a sport that hasn't been playing for a decade?
Putting up the money for this is entitled to know the financial circumstances of this for-profit corporation.
The ballpark, which is expected to cost somewhere between $80 and $90 million, was one of the most discussed concerns at Wednesday's public hearing. But City Councilor Candy Merrow Carlson says taxpayers shouldn't be alarmed by the deal.
We have said that there's not going to be taxpayer money spent on the ballpark, which that's the reason why the council went along with this and moving this forward.
PawSox President Dr. Charles Steinberg also addressed the future with the Worcester Bravehearts.
We want to support the Bravehearts, promote them, sponsor them. We've met with them and look forward to continued meetings.
While the city and team have signed a letter of intent, Worcester City Council must still approve the deal. Carlson, who also serves as the chair of the Economic Development Committee, says Worcester has to keep the process moving forward.
Having all those feet on the ground going into our existing businesses, and we already have some new businesses who want to come in. So for the city of Worcester, this is huge, and it's huge for all of us.
Now, at the next City Council meeting, the proposal will undergo a full City Council vote. This will be the first, if approved, it will be the first approval of many. It still has to go through Major League Baseball, Minor League Baseball, and several other organizations. Anna?
Thanks, Cam. A lot of information there. The Love Your Label campaign is a movement to inspire people to live as their truest selves. Tonight, they were at the Worcester Historical Museum collecting stories from people about their experiences in the LGBTQ community. The movement started with an advertising and photo campaign in January. They say their objective is to flip the script on labels and encourage people to reclaim the words previously used to discriminate. Members of the Love Your Labels say by claiming and identifying with labels, they're able to put up a valuable presentation for the youth who may still be navigating their own.
Love Your Labels is really about taking pride in the components of our identity that describe but don't define who we are as people. Oftentimes people are stereotyped because they identify as gay, or they are trans, or they are a person of color, and they're stereotyped into these different spaces. What the campaign's really trying to do is to celebrate the intersectionality among people and say that we are all unique, but we're united behind a voice of equality.
Hosting this event here, and for people to be supportive and passionate about what's going on here, this kind of furthers our mission as an organization.
The campaign, along with the Worcester Historical Museum and Worcester Pride, are collecting the stories as part of Queer Narratives, which will be part of an LGBT+ history project. A man charged with lying to investigators in connection to the deaths of a mother and her 3 children is now charged with murder. Prosecutors say Matthew Locke killed Sarah Bermudez and her children back in March. Our Rosalind Flaherty spoke with Sarah's husband today and has more.
Just cut so deep to lose a wife and 3 kids. So deep.
Moses Bermudez holds back emotion when learning his cousin, Matthew Locke, is charged with the murders of his family.
To have this happen, I'm saddened that it's my own family that happened to be involved in this.
Bermudez's wife, Sarah, and their 3 children were found dead in their home in West Brookfield in March. District Attorney Joe Early Jr. says the victims were stabbed. Court documents say Locke's DNA was found on the body of one of the young victims, and his car was seen leaving his home in Ware before the murders and returning home afterwards.
It's been a very difficult case for everyone involved.
Locke is charged with 4 counts of murder. He's been held on $10,000 bail since March for misleading the investigation.
I think it is a big relief that finally we're brought some closure to the case. It's still not closed.
Bermudez says there has been speculation for months he was involved in the murders. The DA says they are not looking into him.
People just sit in front of their computers all day, overthinking things, and it kind of bothered me at first because we had to be patient with the law enforcement. I did want someone to be held accountable for what happened.
Bermudez now wants to know why a family member is responsible.
It's hard, but I just gotta move on and look forward to my time when I see him in heaven.
Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
Matthew Locke will be back in court on October 18th. Switching gears now, it was only a drill, but for first responders and staff at UMass Memorial Medical Center, responding to an explosion is something they need to be ready for. September is Emergency Preparedness Month, and the hospital says conducting a lifelike drill is required. Our Chandler Walsh has the story.
First responders arrive at Regatta Point in Worcester, where 53 people have been injured in an explosion.
There were 2 food trucks that had come to serve breakfast. While they were in front of the truck in line and the chef was going to light the grills, there was an explosion.
The victims are inflatable dummies. It's part of a required disaster drill at UMass Memorial Medical Center.
Another guy behind the boat over here.
On arrival, Worcester EMS evaluate the victims, tending to injuries noted on cards. They apply tourniquets and tag the mannequins with colors according to their condition.
Red is priority 1 patients, the most life-threatening or critical patients.
The victims are transported to the medical center by priority, where hospital staff continue the drill. In this scenario, 2 have died and about 20 are in critical condition.
Low rupture, head trauma. We had many patients that went up to the operating room to have surgery. Some will be in the ICU.
While this is happening on the ground, a team in the control center oversees operations, managing resources and space in the emergency department. UMass Memorial says preparing for this type of scenario is relevant, with an increase in mass casualty incidents nationally and worldwide.
We are obligated to make sure that we're ready to respond for that. You know, we saw what happened in Vegas and other areas.
It just makes sense for each EMS system to have some level of preparedness for that.
Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
Patients at UMass Memorial Children's Medical Center get a chance to climb into a real race car Wednesday. It's part of the New England Race Car Association's Race Against Leukemia. The group started the race when a member of their team was diagnosed with leukemia and treated at UMass. They say it's nice to see patients outside of their rooms experiencing something fun they don't see every day.
It's just something about a car with numbers on it that just makes you smile. It's something about a racing helmet. I mean, I'm 34 years old. It still does the same thing to me. So it's just great to see the kids light up and bring a little joy to their day.
It definitely provides a sense of normalcy for him, just being able to get out just like normal kids would do in the summertime. And he loves cars, so this is an even more awesome thing that we're able to do here.
The drivers also got a chance to go inside with patients and color cars and helmets. Brawl at City Hall took over the Worcester Common tonight as amateur boxers went head-to-head inside the ring. The event was put together by the Worcester Police Department's Gang Intervention and Prevention Program and the Boys and Girls Club. Through a collaboration, they teach a youth boxing program where they encourage kids to get involved in a sport, teaching them discipline and sportsmanship. Kids ages 6 to 17 headed inside the ring to show off the skills they've learned.
In the Boys Club, so I've been a part of it my whole life, and working in the gang unit and as a police officer in the city for years. You understand that kids, when they have something positive to do, and sports just is such a positive thing for them, that we want to give them an outlet for something, that activity for them to do and keep them busy.
Most of the time, you know, the minority in life don't have a chance, but through boxing, everybody got a chance. You know, in boxing, you don't have to have a high school diploma or a master's degree or nothing like that. And then to keep kids out of the street, out of trouble.
Officers say they want kids to know the program has started back up again and are encouraging more to get involved. A plan to change the landscape in western Massachusetts. A $650 million water park and resort spa is in the works off the Palmer exit on the Mass Pike. Winthrop Knox and Michael J. D'Amato announcing the plan Wednesday. They say it will draw visitors from as far as 300 miles and include a hotel, 2 indoor water parks, and other indoor-outdoor sports and recreation facilities. A youth tobacco and nicotine prevention bill is signed into law in an effort to target youth who may be susceptible to smoking. Senator Michael Moore announced the passage of the legislation. He says tobacco use and nicotine addiction remains the leading cause of preventable illness and premature death in Massachusetts. Moore says 9 in 10 cigarette smokers begin using before age 18. The newly signed law raises the minimum legal sales age for tobacco products to 21 years old.
On the 2016 legislation that was passed that allowed the Attorney General to establish more public health regulations as far as the sale of these nicotine products. And now that we've seen the effects of that, it now has allowed us to build upon that.
The legislation was signed into law by Governor Charlie Baker back in July.